We're in 2 Timothy chapter 3. Last week we talked about perilous times and kind of a prelude to what's to come. And we go into verse 2. You got 2 Timothy, yeah. But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, and unholy. Let's stop right there. So what Paul's doing is he's saying, listen, you're going to be living in some perilous times, in some dangerous times. And I want you to understand something, that society is going to look kind of funny. And this is what society is going to look like. And so he starts, and I think we talked about this last Sunday, that they would be lovers of themselves. The Greek here is philatos. You might hear a word in there, philo, or where we get Philadelphia, where we get brotherly love. To phileo is a type of love. And autos is where we get the word autobiography. They're going to love themselves. But the picture that the Greek imparts is someone who kisses themselves. I don't know, it sounds crazy. But people will be so enamored by themselves, they will kiss themselves. Now, maybe not physically, maybe. Seeing stranger behavior. But they're actually going to kiss themselves as they will, for lack of a better word, they're going to worship themselves. They will kiss themselves. This word that we see here used was when Judas gave Jesus a kiss. Men are going to be lovers of themselves, so they're going to be so self-absorbed, so self-centered. They will kiss themselves as the highest attitude. This is it is narcissistic. What I need and my needs surpass all of your needs. And you can even see it sometimes in driving. What? Yeah. When someone races, when you've got a green light, and they go ahead and run that red light because where they're going is more important than where you're going. And they're willing to risk. It says they will be boasters. Now we think, looks like somebody's saying, well, I've got 30 degrees and I got a lot of big bank and I'm boasting. No, listen. Boasting. Alazones. They are not concerned with truth, but they are okay with changing the truth or facts so as to be in line with whatever they need the facts to be. Uh-oh. It's the removal of absolute moral standards. Moral absolutes. Well, brother, I'm finding my own truth. Well, I can tell you where it's going to take you with absolute certainty. See, we keep looking at all these things that's going on, and they're symptomatic. It's not the problem. It's just a symptom of it. What's the problem? We're trying to get rid of moral truth, of moral absolute. Be slanderous. False, slanderous. What's interesting here is that the word is diaboloi. Excuse me, which is devils. It has an article that's attached to it, means the slander or the devil, the accuser. There's devils in the mix, if you will. They're going to criticize, to hurt, and to condemn, and to sever relationships. Goes on to say, they will be without self-control. All systems are out of control, powerless, inclined to excess. Your government systems are out of control. They're lacking restraint. All you got to do is look at the border. We're out of control. They will be cruel. People will be savage. Uncultured people. People given to violence and savagery. People will become high-minded. They'll be puffed up. They'll blow smoke. The clouds up in the air, having a cloudy, muddled mindset. Morally blind. Resulting from poor judgment, which brings further loss of spiritual perspective. Now watch this. Philadelphia is where we get the word hedonism. the pursuit of happiness and pleasure, living for the weekend. Excuse me. Now, what it doesn't say here is that they didn't love God. It just says that they loved pleasure more than God. That should wake some of us up. I love God, but my actions sure don't declare it. You remember when the woman brought the alabaster jar in and she broke it and poured it over Jesus' feet? It was an act of worship. And it says that she took her hair and she massaged that in. Can I tell you something? When they all got up to leave that place, now, don't you know that fragrance filled the air? It had to have, because one of the disciples said, hey, don't you know that could have been sold and we could have... But when they got up out of that place and left, she smelled just like Jesus. Because of what she did, she broke that jar. All that fragrance spilled out on Jesus, and then she took her hair. You want to smell like Jesus? Break your jar. Break your jar. Everybody left that place smelling the same except that girl. She smelled just like Jesus. He said, she's done a good thing. As a matter of fact, wherever these stories are told, she's going to be in the midst of this. Her story is going to be told. So I said, worship as warfare. Worship is your key. When you don't know what to do, worship big events coming our way, and we want to talk about them here in the near future. There is a total eclipse that's coming our way. Some interesting prophetic things that are being lined out about that. Briefly, there was one in 2017 that started in Salem, Oregon. It went through 7 states. Every state that it passed through, it went through a city called Salem until it departed the United States at Fort Sumter. The prophetic utterances that came forth were peace, 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 which I believe there were 7. And then Civil War, or Fort Sumter, disturbance. That's where the Civil War broke out. So 7 years later, 2024, we've got one that's going to hit the United States, or come on the United States shore at a place called Eagle Pass, Texas. Does anybody know what's going on in Eagle Pass, Texas? Civil War. It's going to pass through, and it's going to go through a bunch of cities called Nineveh. It's going to cross in 2017, and this 2024 eclipse is going to cross. And where they cross is a little town in Illinois called Little Egypt. You don't have to be going to church very long to start seeing some pretty significant things that are appearing there. Nineveh means fish city. Jonah went to Nineveh, and he preached repentance to the people, and they did. Do you know what was going on as Jonah preached to the people of Nineveh? There was a total solar eclipse going on behind him. There's some fascinating things that we need to maybe talk about. We're anticipating, when I say we, Jubilee, have ministry opportunities that day. We anticipate Interstate 40 being blocked for several hours. Traffic not being able to move. They're expecting 4 times the population of Arkansas to be here. It's a lot of people. Imagine us just looking around and say 4 times the amount of people are here in this room. We'd be like, what are we going to do with them? Like my grandma said, move on over.